The master took a rope and tied the apprentice's hands, then used two bamboo poles to manipulate his maneuvers, so that the apprentice would play a standard move, but it didn't take long for the apprentice to get tired. Instead of letting him rest, the master increased the difficulty of the training. The apprentice was tortured, but the old man was still not satisfied and left the apprentice behind. But what he didn't expect was that the apprentice's waist strength was so poor that he fell to the ground before he could practice a few rounds. In order to let his disciple exercise his waist strength, the master punished him to stand upside down on top of the bamboo pole, using the teacup in his hand to fill up water, pouring cup by cup inside the bucket until the whole bucket was filled up. Suddenly, he realized that the master was sleeping, so he jumped down from the bamboo pole and proceeded to use the ladle and basin to bring the water to the bucket above. What he didn't know was that the master was watching all these little actions. When he filled the bucket, he deliberately pretended to be out of breath and reported to the master that he had completed the task. Unexpectedly, the master took two more cups to him and asked him to fill the water back up. The apprentice could only finish filling the water one cup at a time. When night came, he took advantage of the fact that the master was sleeping and tried to sneak out when he wasn't looking. But just as he opened the door and walked out, the rope on his toes suddenly tightened and the master unceremoniously yanked him back. Seeing that the master let down his guard, the apprentice intentionally walked to the rice tank and rushed toward the door again. Unexpectedly, the master just pulled gently and stuck the apprentice in the doorway. The man put his feet on the stool and reversed both palms back and forth to do push-ups. He had to do 9,900 such push-ups every day, and if he made a mistake in the middle of the day, then he would have to start counting from zero. As the apprentice practiced, the master's hand shook, and it turned out that the master wanted to drink, so the master told him to go buy a wine. But what he didn't realize was that the apprentice came to the inn and gorged himself. He told the waiter to fill him up with 1 or 2 rice wines, and then he poured tea in to fill it up. By this time, the master, who was guilty of alcoholism, had lost all energy, and the enemy happened to come to the door. The enemy and the master fought. The weak master can only rely on flexible position to dodge. Unexpectedly, the enemy does not relent towards his vitals hit. The master can only be forced to fight back, but the alcohol addiction of his total lack of strength. Just then, the disciple finally came back. The old man saw this and quickly told him to throw the wine over. When the master 8 or 9 drank down, he realized that the original drink was water. Before he could catch his breath, the enemy attacked again. At the critical moment, the disciple blocked the fatal blow for him. Then they wrestled together again. But even if the two of them joined hands, they were still no match for the enemy. At the critical moment, the disciple suddenly thought of the mechanism on the bed, so he shouted at the old man. The master instantly understood and immediately jumped into the room. With a gentle tug on the rope, the disciple clamped the enemy's head in the doorway. Seeing this, the master and disciple hurriedly jumped out of the window and escaped. When the enemy rushed in again, the room was already empty. Master and disciple also thus dodged a bullet. After this lesson, the disciple decided to change his previous laziness and began to practice diligently every day. While the master taught him the real secrets of martial arts, after half a year of hard practice, the disciple soon mastered the martial arts moves, and the next thing to do was to take revenge. On this day the enemy was having a big banquet when the disciple approached him with confidence, and made a mockery of him. The enemy thought that the disciple was still the same as before, and lifted up his stick and struck at him, only to see that the disciple began to see the moves, and faced the enemy's strong attacks, all of which could be easily dealt with ease. And when the enemy was not paying attention, he was sent flying by the disciple. Watching the disciple so arrogant, the enemy attacked again, and the two were clearly no longer in the same class. He used his full strength to attack, but every move he made was easily dodged by the disciple. The disciple lifted up the wine altar and drank it all in one go, and immediately made use of his martial arts secrets to fight towards the enemy. And after a period of martial arts moves, he finally defeated the enemy.